welcome to the Deep Dive. We're taking a deep dive today into AI and how it's going to change the future of knowledge work. We've got some research lined up and some expert analysis to look at. We'll be focusing on what all of this means for CEOs, stakeholders, and, well, really anyone whose work involves using their expertise, their creative thinking.
Yeah, it's not just like some passing trend or something. This is a huge shift, and it's happening right now. Today, we're going to break down some of the key insights to help you understand just how AI is reshaping knowledge work.
Okay, perfect. Before we jump into this whole AI revolution, though,
Right.
let's define knowledge work. It's more than just someone sitting at a computer, right?
Right. Think of roles that rely heavily on intellect, specialized knowledge. So we're talking about like data analysts, financial advisors, doctors, lawyers. They're all great examples. They solve those complex problems. They're making critical decisions, applying their expertise in all sorts of unique ways.
So it's like the brain power behind the businesses, so to speak. How is AI changing the game for these really important roles? I mean, I've heard everything from robots are taking over to AI is going to make us all super productive. What's the real story here?
Well, the reality is it's more complicated than just, robots taking over. AI is definitely becoming capable of things that people used to think only humans could do. For example, AI systems can analyze massive data sets, identify patterns, and then generate insights from that. That's work that used to take humans hours and hours of like really dedicated effort.
Wow, yeah, that's impressive. But it makes you wonder, are certain jobs going to be, like, gone?
That's a valid concern. There's a very real possibility of job displacement, especially for those jobs that really depend on routine cognitive tasks. Like take legal research, for instance. There are already platforms like RSS Intelligence that are being used by law firms to go through legal documents and case law. And that could have a real impact on the need for as many legal researchers.
Yeah, that's a pretty stark example. Do we have any idea of how big this shift could really be?
Well, McKinsey, they're a leading global consulting firm. They predict that by 2030, something like 400 to 800 million jobs globally, they could be automated. And that's a really huge number. And we're already seeing the impact in places like healthcare. You've got AI software like IBM Watson that's assisting doctors with diagnosing diseases and suggesting treatment options. It's not replacing doctors completely, but it is changing how they work.
So it's a transformation, not just like a one-to-one replacement.
Right.
So AI is changing the way we work.
Yeah.
But what about like the bigger picture? What about the economic and social implications of this?
That's a great point. The broader impacts are going to be pretty significant. Think about the effect on wages. If AI starts doing more routine tasks, the demand for certain knowledge-based jobs, it could go down, potentially. And that could lead to lower salaries or fewer opportunities in those areas.
So it's not just about losing your job. It's about the economic downsides, even if you manage to keep your job.
Okay, but what about new jobs? Is there anything positive here? Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are definitely challenges, but there are also some really cool opportunities. The future of work is probably going to involve a lot of collaboration between humans and AI. Like, imagine radiologists using AI tools to diagnose diseases even more accurately and quickly. Or financial analysts using AI to analyze trends in the market and make better investment decisions.
So it's more like humans with machines rather than humans versus machines.
Exactly. And on top of that, we're seeing things like the gig economy growing, more remote work, more flexible arrangements. All of these things are offering new ways for people to work and earn a living.
So it seems like CEOs and stakeholders really need to start paying attention to these trends and figure out how to adapt. What can companies actually do to get ready for the future of work?
Well, they need to create a culture of continuous learning within their companies, and they really need to invest in reskilling and upskilling their workers. And they also need to rethink how they design jobs to create roles that use the strengths of both people and AI.
That's a lot to do. Are there any companies out there that are already doing this well that we can learn from?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Companies like PwC and Accenture, they're really investing a lot in preparing their employees for this future where AI plays a major role. Like PwC, they've committed $3 billion globally to training their people on digital skills and AI. They're offering real programs to help their workers stay ahead of the curve.
Wow, that's a pretty big investment, but it sounds like it's working out for them. What about Accenture? What are they doing?
Accenture is another great example. They're actively using AI in how they operate, but at the same time, they're retraining their employees to work with these new technologies. They're showing that it's possible to use new technology without leaving your employees behind.
Those are some pretty inspiring examples. But how can these big initiatives be used for businesses of all sizes? We'll talk more about that right after a quick break. Stick around. So we've been talking about how companies like PwC and Accenture are really leading the way when it comes to using AI and retraining their employees. It's inspiring, but it also kind of makes you wonder, what are some of the things that could go wrong? What are some of the risks that CEOs and stakeholders need to be thinking about?
Oh, that's a really important question. One big risk is that more jobs could be lost as AI and automation get more advanced, like we talked about earlier with the legal researchers.
Hmm.
But it's not just the legal field. AI systems can now do things that we always thought were only for knowledge workers, things like analyzing data, making reports, even writing code.
So that fear of robots taking our jobs, maybe it's not so crazy after all.
It's not really about robots, it's more about the technology behind it all. Think about fields like accounting or financial analysis. There's already AI software that can do things like bookkeeping, taxes, even some parts of investment analysis. This could mean that there will be fewer jobs for people in entry-level or even mid-level positions.
So it's not just blue-collar jobs that are at risk, it's white-collar jobs too. This has some pretty serious implications for CEOs and stakeholders. They need to think about what their workforce is going to look like in the future.
Exactly. And another risk is how quickly skills can become outdated. The technology is changing so fast that what's cutting edge today might be old news tomorrow. So both companies and individuals have to constantly adapt and learn new things.
It sounds like lifelong learning isn't just a good idea anymore, it's like absolutely necessary.
Exactly. And this leads us to another potential problem, what's called the digital divide. Not everyone has access to the resources and training they need to keep up with all these changes in technology. And this could make existing inequalities even worse. It could make it even harder for some people to get good-paying jobs in this new economy where AI is everywhere.
That brings up some pretty important social and ethical questions. CEOs and stakeholders have a real responsibility to make sure this transition to a workforce that's powered by AI is fair and benefits everyone.
Absolutely. And that means making sure that AI systems aren't biased. Because if you train these systems on data that's already biased, they can make things even worse. They can actually amplify those biases and lead to outcomes that are unfair and discriminatory.
So AI is a powerful tool, but it's not a perfect solution.
Mm.
It has to be developed and used in a responsible way. What are some specific steps that CEOs and stakeholders can take to deal with these risks and be ready for the future of work?
One of the most important things is for companies to create a culture of continuous learning. That means giving their employees chances to upskill and reskill by offering things like training programs, online courses, and mentorship. It's about making an environment where learning is encouraged and rewarded.
So it's not just about offering training, it's about changing the whole company culture. What about the jobs themselves? Can we redesign jobs to make them work better with AI?
Yeah, job redesign is another really important strategy. The idea is to use the best of both humans and AI. Think of it like a partnership. AI can take care of the tasks that are repetitive or require lots of data or are based on rules, and that frees up human workers to do the things that need creativity, critical thinking, complex problem solving, and emotional intelligence.
So it's not about humans versus machines, it's about designing jobs that make the most of what both can do. Can you give us an example of how this might work in real life?
Let's go back to the radiologists. Imagine an AI system that can look at medical images and point out anything that looks unusual. This doesn't replace the radiologist, it actually helps them do their job better. The radiologist can then focus on those flagged images and use their expertise to make a diagnosis and recommend the right treatment.
So the AI does the initial screening, and the human expert makes the final call. That's a great example of how humans and AI can work together. What about other fields? Can you apply that same idea more broadly?
Definitely. This approach can be used in lots of different knowledge-based professions. Like in finance, AI could analyze market data and identify potential investment opportunities. Then human analysts could evaluate those opportunities and make the strategic decisions. In marketing, AI could personalize customer experiences, and human marketers could focus on creating those really creative campaigns and building brand loyalty. There are so many possibilities.
It seems like the important thing is to see AI not as a threat, but as a tool that can make us better at what we do and free us up to focus on what we're best at, thinking creatively, solving complex problems, and connecting with each other in a human way.
Exactly. And that brings us to another really crucial part of navigating the future of work, which is the importance of soft skills.
What do you mean by soft skills? I thought it was all about technical skills in this world where AI is so important.
Technical skills are definitely important, but soft skills like communication, collaboration, critical thinking, adaptability, and emotional intelligence are becoming more and more valuable. These are the skills that are harder for AI to do and that will make humans stand out in the workplace.
So CEOs and stakeholders need to invest in both technical and soft skills training for their employees. It's about making sure their workforce is well-rounded and can succeed in this world driven by technology.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that the future of work isn't just about technology, it's about people. It's about making a work environment that's inclusive, supportive, and empowering, where employees feel valued and motivated to do their best work.
That's a great point. It's not just about the technology, it's about creating a workplace that puts people first. I'm curious to hear more about specific companies that are doing a good job with all of this. What are they doing right? And what can others learn from their experiences?
There are so many inspiring examples out there. Let's talk about those.
So before the break, we were talking about how important soft skills are and making workplaces more human-centric, especially with AI becoming so prevalent.
Right, yeah.
You mentioned some companies that are doing a great job navigating this whole transition. I'm really curious to hear about those. What can we learn from them?
Yeah, there are a lot of great examples out there. Let's start with AT&T. They've been really proactive about getting their workforce ready for what's coming. They saw early on that automation and AI were going to have a big impact on their industry. So they launched a huge reskilling initiative. They put billions of dollars into training programs to help their people learn new skills in things like data science, software development, and cybersecurity.
Wow, it's a serious investment. But it sounds like it's been paying off. What kind of results have they seen?
Yeah, it's been really impressive. They've been able to reskill a big chunk of their workforce, and that's helped them avoid layoffs and create new career paths for their employees. They've also seen improvements in efficiency and productivity because their people now have the skills to work well with AI and automation.
That's a great example of how investing in your employees can be good for both the company and the employees. What about other industries? Any examples from outside the tech world?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Let's look at financial services. JP Morgan Chase is another one that's being really proactive about AI and workforce development. They've got this program called the Fellowship Initiative. It's focused on training and mentoring young people from underserved communities, giving them STEM skills.
So they're not just thinking about their current employees, they're thinking about the future talent pool, making sure they have the skills for an AI-driven world.
Exactly. And it's not just about technical skills either. They're also emphasizing soft skills, things like communication, problem solving, and teamwork. They know those skills are going to be essential for any job, no matter what industry you're in.
These are great examples, but those are big companies with lots of resources. What advice would you give to smaller companies or startups that might not have the same kind of budget for these initiatives?
That's a good point. Not every company has the resources of an AT&T or JP Morgan Chase. But there are still things that smaller companies can do. One thing is to focus on creating that culture of continuous learning. Encourage your people to take online courses, go to industry events, get certifications in areas that are important.
To create that learning environment, even if you can't pay for formal training.
Right.
Anything else smaller companies can do.
Another option is to team up with universities or community colleges to access training resources or maybe set up apprenticeship programs. There are often government grants or subsidies to help with these kinds of things.
It sounds like there are options out there for companies of all sizes. The key is to be proactive and make a commitment to investing in your people.
Couldn't agree more. And it's not just about the company's profits. It's about creating a future of work where everyone has a chance to succeed in this age of AI.
That's a great point to wrap things up on. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us into this really important topic. We've covered a lot, from what knowledge work is and how AI is changing it, to the risks and opportunities and what companies are actually doing to adapt and be successful. The main thing to remember is that AI isn't just about changing technology, it's about changing how we work as humans. The companies and people who embrace this change, who learn new things and develop the skills they need, will be the ones who shape the future of work, and they'll be the ones who thrive in the years to come. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.